So I just finished watching the Netflix version of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and this would be my review. First, and no spoiler, the show really is a bitter disappointment. It is definitely below my expectation. It took me over a week to finish the show, while it took me only 2 days to rewatch the original animated Avatar. Maybe my expectations were just a little bit too high because I love the original show so much. Anyway, I'm not a kid and I watched the animated Avatar on Netflix a few years ago. I felt the original animated show could go deeper if it were not a show for the kids. A lot of good opportunities were wasted on Nickelodeon. The reason why I watched the original animated show is because I'm Asian and I love the Asian culture reference in the original animated show. This is just something that you don't see in any other TV show or movies from the US, except maybe Kung Fu Panda. Most producers from Hollywood just wouldn't bother to find any real Asian as a consultant on their show. The actors will speak broken Chinese that can never understand a single word. The Netflix version of Avatar did solid work with Asian cultural reference, but was not as good as the original show. The new Netflix show did not fully commit to the original writing of the animated version, but was mostly true to the original plotline. The first season of Netflix Avatar is an adaptation of the animated first season. Changes were made in the process. Some are good and some are very bad. My original expectation was that since the Netflix Avatar is not a kids show anymore, it can go deeper with some of the hard topics. That did not truly happen, and I feel the main cast is just too young and inexperienced. I think Netflix may try to cut down the budget by hiring new actors. We see that a lot in streaming shows. These new actors are often young, inexperienced, and underpaid. Some of the side characters are played by experienced actors, but I guess that would be too expensive for Netflix if they had experienced actors as the main cast. The good thing about this show is that the CGI was definitely solid, but the CGI scenes were very limited. I guess the CGI is just too expensive. The background music is good, but just lacking compared to the original animated show. In the original animated Avatar, a lot of traditional Asian music instruments were used for the background music. That did not happen in the new Netflix show. In the Netflix Avatar, the music did a good job setting up the emotion, but it just doesn't feel the same when you don't use the traditional Asian music instrument. The costume design were mostly good except for one character. I'm going to talk about that later. There's no whitewashing in the show, or there is and I just didn't notice. I care more about the writing than the whitewashing. I think the failed Avatar movie that we all want to forget about would be much better if they had better writing, even if there is whitewashing. So, spoiler alert now, let's dig into the details. The first thing that I'm not satisfied with is the character development of Katara. Specifically, I'm talking about her bending skill. In the originally in the original animated Avatar show, Katara got her waterbending scroll from pirates. Here in the Netflix show, they deleted the pirates and let Katara get the waterbending scroll from her grandma. I'm perfectly fine with deleting the pirates. They are insignificant characters for the plotline. The problem is, while Katara was engaging in those secondary stories, she was gradually learning how to waterbend. In the original animated show, Katara gradually practiced waterbending in those insignificant stories. We see Katara even got jealous when she saw Aang was able to learn waterbending so easily. And we see her make some funny mistakes when she was trying to learn how to waterbend and accidentally discovered how to uh, ice bend. I feel like Netflix shows should have shown us her struggle with learning how to waterbend. Instead, she just suddenly became an excellent waterbender when she faced Paku in the Northern Tribe. In the animated Avatar, Master Paku accepted Katara as a waterbending master when because he dated her grandma. I always felt this part to be a little bit off, and they were forced to not talk about the sexism because it was a kid show. In the Netflix Avatar, he did it because he really recognized her as a successful waterbending master, and that they needed everyone against the Fire Nation. He did not directly call Katara a waterbending master in front of her, but he acknowledged her skill when he sent the other young people to help Katara. I felt this is closer to what would happen if a toxic male who has been sexist their whole life finds a little girl who can waterbend as well as a boy for the first time. The next character I have a problem with is Appa. Appa is mostly a CGI character, and it is heavily criticized for the poor design in the Avatar movie. In the Netflix Avatar show, Appa rarely showed up, but when he did, the character's CGI was good enough. I guess they were trying to save some money on the CGI budget. I love how Appa sounded in the show. Appa may look cute, but he has a mouth big enough to swallow a full-grown man whole. In the show, Appa makes this very low-frequency moan. I think this is exactly what I imagine a bison that weighed 10 tons would sound like. Unfortunately, because Appa got so little screen time on the show, Appa didn't have any characters. In the original animated show, Appa had a lot of characters and were fun to watch. This did not happen in the Netflix Avatar. That also means there are no more big expressive eyes. The Netflix Appa is more realistic but less cute. Let's move on to the next character that I have a problem with, King Boomy. This is the costume problem that I talked about earlier. In the Netflix Avatar, the makeup for King Boomy was so bad that you can clearly see that he is not an old man. This is further confirmed when Boomy took off his shirt. I guess they just don't have the kind of budget as HBO when they did that aging makeup for Melisandre. I think I will prefer if they have some actual old guy to play the character King Boomy. There are old men kind of being jacked, and there are young men kind of being jacked. Netflix Avatar has King Boomy have an old man's face and a young man's body. This just feels unnatural and creepy. Other than the makeup, they actually give the character a lot more depth compared to the animated show. In the original animated show, King Boomy fought the Avatar just for fun. The Netflix show goes deeper into Boomy's struggle to protect the city of Omashu. In the Netflix Avatar, Boomy fought because he thinks Anne failed as an Avatar when he left. During the Omashu story, the Netflix Avatar show also included a story about the terrorist jet, the mechanist inventor Steele's father, and the famous cabbage man, and the musicians in the caves. This is just Netflix trying to squeeze 24 episodes of animated show into 8 episodes of live action. I am fine about the terrorist jet story. For the mechanist, I just felt his reason for cooperating with the Fire Nation doesn't make much sense here compared to the animated Avatar. The Cabbage Man had too many lines than necessary. The original Cabbage Man was fun because he kept showing up in different places as the Avatar traveled and delivered that one line, my cabbages, every time. In the Netflix Avatar, he only showed up once and had too many lines to be a simple side character. His existence felt forced. Then there are the musicians in the caves. The whole cave plotline just leads to nowhere. Unlike the animated version, the musicians are not as funny. We also have several key characters who showed up in the show way too early. Fire Lord Ozai, Azula, and Azula's minions were brought to the first season. Tell me, would you know who those two are if you haven't watched the anime? For those who don't know, they are Mai and Tai Li. Or maybe they are Tai Li and Mai. They had no action and barely any lines. A key characteristic of Azula in the anime is that she is crazy and insecure. Without that, the Azula character just doesn't feel right in the Netflix Avatar. The main cast also doesn't have the kind of connection as the anime. Just because Sokka took off his shirt doesn't mean that Suki is naturally attracted to him. I just don't feel the attraction between those love interests. There is just no chemistry in most couples in the show. Yue is maybe better. She had a lot more experience acting in the industry. The Netflix started with Air Temple being invaded instead of having it show up in the flashbacks. Different showrunners will have different ways of telling the same story. I'm fine with that. But the Netflix Avatar is just not as good at telling the same stories compared to the animated Avatar. In the original anime, there is a build-up before the main cast finds the body of Monk Yasu. Both Sokka and Katara know what they are going to find, while Anne is a little bit clueless about what happened when he disappeared. Katara tried her best to prepare Anne for what he was about to see. At that point, the bond between the main cast has gradually formed during their previous adventures. That is why Katara was able to pull Anne out of the Avatar state. This did not happen in the Netflix Avatar. They just jumped right in with Anne going full Avatar state. In the anime, Aang was happy before he found out what happened to the airbenders. This later changed into anger and despair. This is what made the original show work. The Netflix Avatar just felt hasty. It focused more on the action but not enough on the emotional side. Just like how the original show didn't show the fire of Ozai in the first season, not showing action and leaving a lot to the audience imagination may be better. They also made airbending. They also made Airbender celebrating the Sozon's comet by gathering all the Airbender to the same place to be attacked. This did not make any sense. To me, that is just lazy writing. They even had the Airbender fly in the first episode. I mean, it took a dead girlfriend for Zahir to learn how to fly. Zahir would not be happy about this. The attack on Airbender was highly anticipated by the fans because the original show had to dial down for the kids. The new show did not meet that anticipation. Something that I really liked about the show is how they gave the character Sokka and Totaro a lot of background. In the animated Avatar, Sokka did the ice dodging, sort of a water tribe's trial to adulthood with Batu. Here in the Netflix show, in a flashback before the event of the series, Sokka did the ice dodging and almost failed. I like how this part shows the audience Sokka's self-doubt. What I don't like is how in this part of the story, they kind of wasted the character called the Face Stealer. He was scary in the animated Avatar. His CGI design is scary, his action not so much. They also give more background about Prince Zuko and his traveling companions. I always wonder why his crew hasn't dumped his sorry ass yet. The action scenes of the show is great. They have a killer opening scene and a cool Kyoshi fight. But again, maybe they don't have enough money for long CGI scenes, so the Kyoshi fight scene feels too short. Though I would agree with prioritizing the quality of CGI over the length of the CGI scenes.